How is the campaign going before you
Oh, my
go?
gosh, it's going great. I have been traveling every day that I'm not in the classroom. People are excited, and I really feel like, you know, people know the choice this election. They can choose chaos or they can choose, you know, steady wisdom experience. So
there's not a part of you that's a little worried because
no,
it seemed to be off kilter a little bit.
No, I feel that Joe will be reelected.
But when these polls, like the Wall Street Journal one, land in the White House and he's losing in all the battleground states.
No, he's not losing in all the battleground states. He's coming up, and he's even or doing better. So, you know what? Once people start to focus in and they see their two choices, it's obvious that Joe will win this election.
Meanwhile,
Donald Trump leads Biden in 6 of the 7 swing states in a head-to-head matchup, and that's according to a fresh new poll coming from the Wall Street Journal. Biden's campaign rallying cry of, "At least I'm not the other guy," apparently not working, not so persuasive. So here's the data. According to the poll and according to the Journal survey, Trump leads 1-on-1 in Arizona, 47 to 42%, Georgia, 44 to 43%, Michigan, 48 to 45%, North Carolina, 49 to 43%, Nevada, 48 to 44%, and Pennsylvania, 47 to 44%. He and Biden draw even, though, when it comes to Wisconsin, both coming in at 46%. Now, clearly, voters are not so happy with Joe Biden, but establishment Democrats are absolutely convinced that they can, you know, shame voters, chide them, if you will, into voting for Biden. And in a recent appearance on the Tonight Show with Jimmy Fallon, Hillary Clinton basically did just that. It's like she has this obligatory role in every election cycle to wag her finger at Democratic voters or independent voters and demand that they vote for her preferred candidate.
All right, guys, so what you just saw there was Joe Biden snapping, going off after being confronted with facts that, hey, Trump is leading Biden in key swing states across the board, okay? As I've told you guys, I explained to you guys that as we move closer to the election, it seems as if Trump is now starting to kind of run away with the 2024 election. And I'm not saying that the election won't be close. I guess what I'm saying is that when it comes to the polling, at least, it seems as if people are kind of breaking towards Trump, right? When it comes down to, hey, I'm undecided. Am I going to go with Trump? Am I going to go with Biden? The closer that we get to the election, it seems like people are deciding that, hey, I'm going to go with Trump, okay? And I think one of the reasons why is because of the economy. I mean, that's the main reason. I think people understand what the economy was like when Trump was in office versus now. And I think that the difference is night and day. And I think people just want this country to go back to a country where we actually had some sanity, where we had the adults in the White House, okay, where we had some peace on the world stage, or put it this way, more peaceful than what's going on right now, okay? And part of the chaos that is happening in the world is also part of the reason why Joe Biden could lose, right? It is more likely than not that he's going to lose. If the election was held today, I would have a hard time believing that Trump wouldn't win, right? I do really believe in my heart that if the election was held today, that Trump would win, okay? And I think that we have to have faith, and not just faith, we also have to work and make sure that we go out to the polls and to vote come November to make sure that this becomes a reality, because quite honestly, this country cannot stomach another 4 years of Democrats, right? We just can't do it. So with that being said, again, what did Jill Biden do when confronted with reality? Well, she does what most Democrats do when confronted with reality, which is to deny reality, right? The reality denying Democrats are back at it again. Nuh-uh. Joe is not losing in all the swing states, right? He's losing in all the swing states except one, right? He's tied in Wisconsin, right? According to that Wall Street Journal poll. And we're going to get into this poll and some of these numbers and talk about the Democrat civil war, which is going to lead to a disaster, right? For as much as the mainstream media wants to make it out that, oh, well, the never-Trumpers are a threat to Trump, right? The never-Trumpers that aren't going to vote for Trump is going to make it harder for Trump to win. And that's partially true, but there are a lot more Democrats that are never Biden, right? Or anti-Biden or anti-genocide Joe, as they say. that I don't think are going to vote for Biden. And that's going to show up in a lot of these key swing states, which I definitely think is what the election will come down to. So before we get into it, we have to have a word from the sponsor of this video, Noble Gold. Hey there, investing feels overwhelming right now, doesn't it? So complicated, so many decisions. But leaving your money in the bank, not a great idea. It's losing value every single day. So if it's stressing you out and driving you nuts, why not invest smarter with Noble Gold Investments? Precious metals are simple and real. There hasn't been a company or stock that was around 2,000 years ago, but guess what? Gold was around 2,000 years ago. It's always been there through wars, turmoil, and disasters. Reliable, dependent, authentic. That is why you cannot go wrong with precious metals. They've always had your back. Noble Gold Investment American experts will show you how to set and forget your 401k or IRA. You'll get a dedicated professional assigned to you. No hassle, no call centers. And this month, Noble Gold is giving away a free 1/4 ounce gold standard coin with every qualifying IRA investment. Visit noblegold.com to claim your gold coin. That is noblegoldinvestments.com. And just remember, there's a risk with every investment and there's no guarantee of any kind.
Of Pennsylvania, Arizona, Georgia, Nevada, and North Carolina. That's a lot of states. The one exception here is Wisconsin, and Biden and Trump are dead even.
Now, again, we got to look a little bit deeper in this, okay? Because, again, Trump is beating Biden across the board, right? Biden is getting mollywopped, right? Destroyed, demolished, cooked, fried, right? He is getting whipped, okay? This is a good old-fashioned butt whooping, right? Again, if the election was held today, again, this is not even close, okay? This is not close. If this is what the results will be, which I have faith that hopefully the American people will do the right thing. Now, we don't know, okay? A lot of these results are within the margin of error. So therefore, it can go either way, right? Technically, it can go either way. But regardless, what we're seeing here is that Trump is starting to really pull away from Biden in the sense that he's consistently beating Biden, right? I don't think Trump has ever polled this well, period, right? Ever. Okay, and he won in 2016, not polling this well. So you can imagine that going into the election, if the poll numbers remain the way they are, okay, if things, don't get better, they don't get worse. If it's just what it is today, again, there's a great chance that he's going to win. I mean, he's also leading when it comes to the national polling, the popular vote, which, is for Republican amazing, okay, because Democrats have to win the popular vote in order to win, okay? Republicans don't have to win the popular vote in order to win, but if they get into that 48%, 49%, 50% range, they have a good shot at winning. If they outright win the popular vote, there's no way they can lose, okay? That's just how the maps kind of play out, okay, electorally. Republicans don't need to win a popular vote, but again, if they do win it, it's guaranteed that they're going to win, okay? But, they really have to be close, okay? They got to be close to that 50% mark. So the fact that Trump is over the 50% mark, he's leading in 6 out of 7 swing states. The one state that's tied, Wisconsin, happens to be a state that just organized a protest vote against Joe Biden, right? This is one of those states that had a bunch of uncommitted voters that came out and voted against Joe Biden and said, hey, we're not going to vote for you over this Israel-Gaza conflict, okay? And it's a big deal because those states are going to come down to razor-thin margins. So if you have a large group of people that are saying that, hey, I'm going to sit it out, and again, a lot of those people, a vast majority of them will probably vote for Biden anyways, okay? But again, when you talk about, 46, a razor-thin margin, it matters, right? So when you talk about maybe a few tens of thousands of voters that would vote for Biden that decide to sit out, that's a big deal, okay? And again, Wisconsin was one of those states. Michigan was one of those states. And Trump is just outright leading in Michigan. You also have the state of Arizona, in which Trump is outright winning, but that state has become more difficult for Republicans to win for whatever reason. It used to be a solid kind of red state, and then it became more of a swing state. Now it's kind of going blue, but still kind of can swing red under certain circumstances. Trump outright winning Arizona is good because, again, that's a border state, right? So you would think that a state that's on the border dealing with the consequences of Biden's open border policies and illegal immigration, yeah, you would think they would swing heavily Republican, right? And that is essentially what is happening. Trump is up 1% in Georgia, which is kind of a surprise. But again, you know, he is leading there. What has been a traditionally red state until recently. He's outright winning in Nevada and in Pennsylvania. There's a cushion. But again, you know, this is just one poll. I think the real takeaway here is the fact that what you're saying in regards to a majority of the polls is that, hey, Trump is kind of, you know, winning. He's kind of pulling away here when it comes to some of these swing states, these key states that are needed in order to win, the states that are basically up for grabs, you know, in the presidential election. So, you know, again, this is all good news for Trump. This is terrible news for Biden. Biden has a lot of things working against him, right? We haven't even added in the RFK factor, the fact that RFK is going to pull away more votes from Joe Biden because RFK is a liberal, right? He is a Democrat. He picked a progressive to be his running mate for a reason, okay? The fact that you have RFK in the race, you got Cornel West, Jill Stein, all of these individuals that can pull votes away from Biden, plus the backlash vote against Biden over Israel and Gaza. There's just too much working against him, right? I just don't see how a guy who doesn't have a solid base and all of these things working against him, pulling voters away from him, I don't see how come November he can win, right? I just don't see it, okay? I'm not saying it's not possible. I just personally think that there's just too much at this point, right? His approval rating is in the tank, okay, across the board on most issues except abortion or maybe climate change. He's getting destroyed by Trump, right? So if you factor in all these things and then come November, Biden comes out the winner, right? I'm going to have a lot of questions, right? I'm going to have a lot of questions, okay? I ain't going to lie to you. I'm just saying. I mean, this we cannot afford another 4 years of this. We cannot. No way.
And when it comes to Biden's ability to lead the country, well, 6 of those swing states cite Biden's mental fitness as a top concern. An overwhelming 72% saying Biden does not have the mental and physical fitness needed to be president. But despite those brutal poll numbers, Obama's former campaign manager believes Biden is gaining steam.
Voters are going to vote in their own best interest. They always do. And it's why I've always been more optimistic than the polls, because voters think their own lives, their own economy, their own state economies are better than they were 4 years ago. And they're getting better every single day. And that's why I agree with you. In 12 polls out in the last 2 weeks, Joe Biden continues to have momentum since the State of the Union.
So, you know, I poured through these polls, and there's one, if I could say, top line, Harris, that stood out to me. It was this. And when you add it together, here's what you get. So asked about approval of what the president has done, you look at Biden, a negative overall approval rating of his job as president. He's underwater, -22. Now, Trump, how did he do as president in his 4 years? He's above water by 4. That pretty much sums it up.
Amazing. Amazing how the perception from the American people is the exact opposite of the perception of what Trump did on networks like MSNBC, right, or CNN, who want to frame the Trump presidency as like a disaster, right? It was terrible. When most people, the normal people, American people, say, no. Trump's presidency was a whole lot better than what the mainstream liberal media is saying, and Biden's presidency is a whole lot worse than what the mainstream liberal media is saying, right? The difference in the perception from the media and how the people are feeling tells you everything you need to know about the media, right? Can't be trusted. They clearly are not in touch with reality, or they're just outright lying. Probably a little bit of both. So, you know, with that being said, again, this is just one of these key data points that, again, I just do not see how Biden can pull it off, considering that everything, it seems like everything is against this guy at this point, right? I mean, I'm just saying, I don't understand how voters can go to the polls unless they have a severe case of Trump derangement, which there's no doubt probably 10, 20, maybe even 30% of the country does have a severe form of Trump derangement. I'm not sure how you can go to the polls and vote for Biden considering all the conditions right now. The only thing that I think can save Biden is either the abortion issue or when it comes to the economy, right? If the economy starts to make the recovery like a real recovery, okay, and people start to actually feel like the economy's better, that could change things. I mean, we all watching the Fed to see what they're going to do with interest rates. I personally think they're going to try to lower interest rates in an attempt to juice the economy in favor of Joe Biden, okay? If the American people no longer feel or have the perception that inflation is rising rapidly, okay, and there's some kind of stabilization in regards to the price of goods, right? I think that could possibly change the outcome, but I personally don't see it happening because I don't think that the American people are going to get used to the inflation that we experienced over the last 2 years. I don't think they're all of a sudden going to get used to it right before the election. I think it's going to take some time, right? It's going to take some time for the American people to be okay with the 3 to 4% inflation per month that we're currently seeing. If ever, right? I'm not sure the American people will ever be okay with the fact that, again, we've had this massive amount of inflation.
Well, and, you know, the whole argument about how early it is getting a little old. When the top issue is going to be really hard as a train to turn around, and that's immigration in this country. So
I would argue that the top issue is the economy. But, yeah, I mean, immigration is probably 1B, right? I mean, 1A is the economy. Immigration is 1B. Biden's not turning that around. And, I mean, let's keep it 100. Democrats, they're not even attempting, right? They're not really even attempting to do anything about that.
It's understandable that where he's failing are areas where he really hasn't been able to address it. Inflation, I was just talking about this last hour, it's still above 3%. That is not where we need to have it, particularly after years of 7, 8, 9% now on his watch. So, you know, he's running out of time. That narrative now about Biden is supported by the facts, and I don't know how he turns that around. And that negative number, that's like you're underwater. No one will throw you a life jacket. How long can you hold your breath is the question. Mm-hmm. Meanwhile, according to the statistics you just showed, Trump is doing the backstroke.
Yeah, he is doing the backstroke.
Yeah, so and that's the reason why the mainstream liberal media is so obsessed with trying to have these trials before the election, right? This is why they're fuming over the fact that Trump keeps getting these delays and he keeps getting these breaks because they want to try to rig it by having Trump be convicted before the election because they know that on all these other issues, Biden can't help himself, right? He's not going to do much when it comes to the economy. He's not changing anything when it comes to that. The propaganda didn't work. The border, the propaganda's not working. He ain't doing nothing about that, right? On the key issues, Biden's just underwater, right? He's just getting cooked, okay? So, again, what they want is for Trump to get convicted, and they hope that sways the outcome of the election. However, it doesn't seem like that plan is going to go well as of right now. I mean, who knows? Maybe the Alvin Bragg case will go forward, but nobody gives a damn about that case, right? Nobody cares about that one, okay? The ones that people actually do care about, those are the ones that are in serious jeopardy of not happening before the election. But, you know, we'll see. As of right now, though, even if the worst case scenario happens and Trump gets some type of conviction, I personally don't think that it's really going to change much, to be quite honest with you, because up until this point, the political persecutions have done nothing but help Trump. And I personally don't see how, you know, things will change just because you throw a conviction in there. But who knows? Maybe I can be wrong. I'm just saying as of today, if the election was held, I have faith that Trump would be the winner. But hey, let me know what you guys think. Make sure you like, comment, and subscribe. Most importantly, share a Black conservative perspective. Peace.